Joining us now is Jason Selvig, comedian and co-host of The Good Liars. It's good to have you back on the show. We expect you to start treating us with that kind of fear and respect on this show whenever you
Always. You don't see that in my eyes every time I'm on camera.
Do not come on this show and disrespect us.
I would never even think of it. Everybody here looks great. You all are doing a great job today. I thought the reporting tonight has been excellent. And I just want to say...
back.
Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate it. And I want your picture should be on the side of this building, just like our dear leader Donald Trump has some on some buildings in D.C.
Well, it's always been a superpower of these politicians to just get beaten up mercilessly, and you just expect it. And you look at how all the different presidents would get roasted constantly, and you kind of wonder, like, how can they really do this to them? Like, you really have to have a thick skin. But Trump just has abandoned all pretense of any kind of skin at all when it comes to criticizing him.
No, I think he has very, very thin skin, and maybe that's why he wears so much makeup. I mean, he cannot take a joke. And late night comedians, they've been making fun of people, for years and years, and especially the president of the United States. But Donald Trump, he's very sensitive. He's a very sensitive guy. When these comedians tell jokes, it hurts his feelings. And that might be another reason he wears makeup, is because he blushes maybe. And when people make fun of him, or he gets nervous, so he wants to cover up his feelings with his makeup. But I think that what we're seeing with Trump right now is it is scary. And it's not like, look, this is not just scary for comedians right now. There's a lot of scary stuff for everybody. Right?
Everybody's being, there's to some extent, as we've highlighted this before, he's gone after universities and tried to pressure them into doing certain things, the law firms, media companies, big tech. We see how much a lot of big tech have bent the knee to Trump, having dinners at the White House and what have you. And that's okay to have dinners at the White House, but it's just the way and the manner that it's done. And that specific dinner where everybody was heaping praise on the president, right? When you watch a cabinet meeting, it's 40 minutes of just cabinet officials talking about how great you are, how amazing you're doing as a job. And I think that's what's scary. But there's something very unique about comedians. And the reason why I say that is because there's something sacrosanct in America about being able to criticize your leader in a way that other countries don't do that, right? Yeah. And you and I have talked about this covering the White House Correspondents' Dinner in the past, which is it is such a distinctly American thing where you bring the most powerful people and arguably the most powerful person in the world into a room and literally make fun of him to his face.
Yes, and Donald Trump has never participated.
Exactly, and that was the point.
And that is, it's based in fear.
It's also part of the lore that actually Obama at the White House Correspondents'
in 2014
Dinner is the whole reason we're living through this?
Yes.
I think because Donald Trump can't take a joke and he hates it when people make fun of him, that he decided to run for president and ruin lots of people's lives. Maybe that's true. I don't know if that, he has gone on record. I think it's saying that he was I thought it was funny. I thought it was great, but obviously he might have been lying. But with Trump, it's scary because so many people have done it, and they've had jokes told about them while they're at war.
Yeah, George Bush.
This has been happening for years, but Donald Trump is afraid of it. And you can see that fear, and it comes out through anger, which happens a lot of times with fear. It comes out with anger, and he tries to beat people down and make them, I think in his perfect world, Donald Trump, he would be loved by everyone and obeyed by everyone. Yeah. And honestly, I think in his mind, love and obey are the same thing, because I think that's how he was taught love by his father, was just obeying him. That was love.
Okay.
That any of us want to be living in. And I'm telling you, I don't care who you voted for. I don't care what your beliefs are. I don't care if you and I would never meet on any plane whatsoever. I will tell you this, you enjoy your freedoms just as much as I do. And your freedoms are being destroyed. Everything that you feared from Biden, from Obama, from anybody, all of those things are now happening. They're happening. So join us. This is about being American. It's not about a party. It's not about an ideology. It's about the ideology of being American. We're the home of the brave and the land of the free. But if we want to be free, then we got to be brave. And now is that time. So come out October 19th. Join us. Let's make this meaningful. Every time we've gotten bigger and bigger and bigger. This one's going to be 3 times, 4 times, 5 times as big as the last one, because they're invading our rights that much more. And now is the time we come together. And I'm reaching out to all of my brothers and sisters in the entertainment industry to join us. Don't let them pick us off. Don't let us stand out there by ourselves. Join us. Be there this time. I want to see everybody on MSNBC and CNN. Everybody. I want to hear everybody speaking, because you can do it. You can change this. And they're coming after celebrities because they know we are the last ones to actually be able to have our freedom to speak. So use your platform wisely. Use it generously for this movement. So thank you everybody for being here. I love you. I love this country. I believe in us. I believe in this movement, and I know we will prevail, but we have to show up. Thank you.
Now, in the year 2000, just after Putin was officially inaugurated as president, the program ran another Putin sketch. This one imagined Russia in the year 2020, with Putin still in office and ordering raids on the show's parent company. Like I said, trenchant. The show correctly predicted that Putin would continue his hold on power in Russia 20 years later, and then some. But the show underestimated how quickly Putin would go after his comedy critics. Now, not long after that sketch, the Kremlin pressured the network to take the show off the air. That might not come as a surprise today. After all, Russia is a state where freedom of speech is strictly limited, media is censored by the state, and a number of Putin's critics have wound up dead. But at the time, Russia's future as an authoritarian state was not so certain. Garry Kasparov is a Russian dissident, exile, and chess grandmaster. He has seen authoritarianism with his own eyes, and this week he wrote this in his Substack newsletter, The Next Move. As demagogues go, Donald Trump is not especially original. A tragedy occurs, the leader starts pointing fingers and blames the other guy as a pretext for overreach. It's so formulaic that no TV show with this plot would ever have made it near this past weekend's Emmys. Kasparov warned that we should understand this for what it is, a threat to the American opposition's constitutionally protected free speech rights. But he also offered a sign of hope that the U.S. may not suffer the same fate as Russia's slide into autocracy. He said, quote, Russia had no democratic immune system to fight the virus. America does. We all need a little dose of hope right now. And joining us now is Garry Kasparov. That piece is excellent. I encourage everybody to read it. We can share that too as well. But let me start by just asking, I mean, you brought up comedy as an early warning sign with the example of a puppet show depicting Vladimir Putin, which is part of why we played it for the audience earlier to help them understand this storyline. That Putin forced them off the air early in his reign, of course, as I also mentioned. But how is that example, or the example of what you saw in Russia, instructive of what we're seeing now, and what's different? Because I think it's so important, as you mentioned in your piece, about how it's the virus. There's a different instinct or ability in the United States.
This show, and thanks very much for reminding me about this golden era in the history of my country. It was a very short period. It was very feeble democracy. But the show was on air, I think, for about 6 years, and they mocked Yeltsin and his authorities. And I think back in 1995, one of Yeltsin's cronies tried to shut them down, and he was fired. And the first thing Putin did, he put them off the air by using the same coercion, attacking the parent company and then taking it over. And that's very important to understand. That's the moment you hear public interest, it should ring the bell. That's how the authoritarians use these very general terms that nobody can understand to advance their agenda. So when I hear this being repeated, public interest, public interest, public interest, I know what it's heading for.
That's such an important, that is a phrase that was used by the FCC chairman, what's in the public interest, yesterday. And it's, again, to your point, I think, how it is defined, right? And they are defining it in their own terms. One of the other interesting points you make, and I was talking with Stacey Abrams a little bit about a similar point earlier, is that there's not some big moment that may happen. I mean, these crackdowns can have a slow burn. It's not always a dramatic movie moment where journalists are being pushed off cliffs. It can be slower burning. We're clearly in it now. What are the conditions for people who are tuning into this, already scared about it, that allow these crackdowns to be successful? Maybe what allowed it to be successful in Russia?
Look, it's a very important point. It's in Hollywood movies. You see the coup d'état, tanks on the streets, journalists being arrested. Normally, it's a slow burning process. It's like death by 1,000 cuts, one by one. Just changing one paragraph in the law and moving the comma here or full stop here. It's and very often, it's under the disguise of legality and of course public interest. We have to protect public security and. It's just, at one point you discover that, you are no longer, having the same freedom you used to have. Of course, America, unlike Russia back then in 2000, has 250 years of democratic tradition. But I think the big mistake people are making, and Stacey Abrams pointed out, the Constitution doesn't defend itself. Constitution offers a good foundation to fight back for our freedom. But unless we recognize that this is an existential, I emphasize, existential threat to American democracy, so nothing will happen. And it's not just simply mobilization to protest. I believe that the elections and midterm elections will not be just a normal midterm. It will be free, but most likely not fair. When you look at the latest actions of the administration, for instance, the performance of Kash Patel at the hearings, insulting
celebrities, people there, they are booing Trump off the stage. He's trying to do events, trying to change the script. Comedians, actors, other media personalities, politicians, they are not happy with Trump. And they're saying, we want Jimmy. We want Jimmy back on air. Certainly the people that agree with him, of course, and that like him and like to watch his show and find him funny and all of that, of course, right? It's like, just on a very mechanical level. It's like, it's a show I watch, and I would like to continue watching it, please. Right? But more than that, it's like, even if you're, like I didn't watch Jimmy Kimmel, like, not out of any purposeful choice, right? It's just, there's a lot of media to watch, so I don't watch him every night. I'll catch clips now and then. But, like, I want him back on air. Because, obviously, he mattered. If he didn't matter, they wouldn't have censored him. They will censor views that threaten them. And so obviously they feel threatened by him. So put him back on air. But many people who disagree with him are saying he needs to be back on air. Again, one, because out of principle, and two, they do fear that, like, that they're tearing down their electoral coalition. There was this wasn't necessarily the main reason people voted for Trump. I think they wanted cost of living lowered. There were concerns about Biden's age, and that sort of got stuck to Harris. But there were probably enough voters, maybe to make the difference in the popular vote and maybe in the election, that voted for Trump out of this erroneous idea that he was the anti-establishment guy. He was the free speech guy. He was the say what you want guy. It wasn't true. We knew it wasn't true. But they thought it, and they voted accordingly. And now those people are realizing that was BS. And so when it comes down to it in the midterms and in 2028, and as they say there, who knows if the midterms will be totally free? I think they will happen, but who knows the shenanigans? You can see that Donald is trying to be like Putin. Putin was initially elected legally, fully fairly, or at least mostly fairly in the context of Russia. And now he's a dictator. That can happen. And one of the things you look at is, can you make fun of him?